There's one brutal truth most men never learn. You cannot talk your way into becoming a woman's priority. You can't debate it, negotiate it, or earn it with kindness alone. In fact, the harder you try to convince her, the more optional you become. Because priority is not something a man asks for. It's something he installs deep within her psychological framework until the thought of life without him becomes not just undesirable, but unthinkable. This isn't about games. It's not manipulation. This is about power. This is about becoming a man who is so emotionally centered, so grounded, so undeniably rare, that a woman naturally orients her world around him. This is the masculine edge no one taught you. And if you stay until the end, you'll learn how to move from being just an option to becoming the axis around which her reality turns. Rule 1. Become the emotional authority in her mind. Most men think women want emotional safety. That's only half the truth. The man she makes her priority doesn't just make her feel safe. He becomes the lens through which she interprets her emotional world. In every high-stakes moment, his response calibrates her emotional compass. When she's upset, your reaction teaches her how serious it really is. When she's spinning, your stillness reorients her. You don't absorb her chaos, you stabilize it. You don't argue with emotion, you lead it. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, she begins to look to you, not herself, for emotional truth. Let me give you a scenario. She walks in, tense after a long day. Her energy is chaotic. A typical man tries to fix her or argues back. You say nothing at first. You listen. You let her vent. You remain grounded. Then, when the moment is right, you offer a single sentence that reframes her entire situation, and she exhales. Her body softens, her voice lowers. Because you didn't just hear her emotions, you governed them. That's how emotional authority is installed, not through force, but through presence. When you become her emotional reference point, you become her priority, because her stability depends on it. Rule 2. Use subtle social proof to trigger her protection instinct. Let's get one thing clear. You don't need to make her jealous. That's weak. You don't need to flirt with other women. That's desperate. What you need is silent visibility. You don't reciprocate beyond respectful acknowledgement. But your woman notices. She feels the magnetic current around you. That current activates a protective instinct. She doesn't want to compete, but now she feels the need to guard what's hers. And that's what makes her fight to keep her place in your life without you saying a word. Machiavelli would put it this way: perceived competition maintains loyalty far better than force. Rule 3. Create emotional imprints she can't replace. Attraction isn't maintained through routines. It's forged through emotional spikes, powerful memories, moments that lock you into her emotional blueprint. The average man repeats the same 3 dinner dates, texts good morning every day, and slowly fades into predictability. But the high-value man, he engineers moments she'll never forget. You take her to that live jazz set she casually mentioned months ago. You surprise her with a shared challenge, rock climbing, a night class, a weekend strategy game. You don't just show her attention, you show her growth. You talk about your past, not to trauma dump, but to strategically reveal transformation. You're a man who's overcome, a man who leads with stories of power. And through these curated moments, she forms emotional anchors. She thinks, no man has ever made me feel like this. In long-term relationships, you involve her in your journey. You bring her into career decisions. You let her celebrate your private wins. You allow her to witness your rise without making her the reason for it. And now, it's not just love, it's investment. No one else can replicate what you've built together. And that belief, that's what makes you unforgettable. Rule 4. Build micro-dependencies that bond her to you. This one's subtle and devastatingly effective. Priority is not kept through grand romantic gestures. It's kept through tiny emotional dependencies, installed slowly over time. The more often she looks to you for clarity, reassurance, perspective, the deeper your roots grow into her psyche. If you're single, watch closely. She starts asking what you'd do in tricky situations, how you'd handle a difficult friend, what your advice would be for a personal decision, not because you're imposing, but because she feels better when you guide her. If you're in a relationship, she slowly aligns with your structure. She starts syncing with your morning rituals. She adopts your standards. You simply radiate a powerful, silent truth. You could continue thriving with or without her. That's not arrogance. That's sovereignty. You're not emotionally fragile. You don't beg for closeness. You don't collapse when she distances herself. She pulls back, you stay centered. You go to the gym. You crush your goals. You grow your business. You don't chase. You expand. In her mind, a quiet realization begins to form. If I lost him, he wouldn't fall apart. He'd rise, and I'd lose something irreplaceable. Machiavelli captured it perfectly. He who depends on no one governs all. So here's the tactic. Cultivate a lifestyle that progresses with or without her. Let your growth be visible, but never boasted. Because the man who doesn't need her is the one she works hardest not to lose. Rule 6. Shift the emotional investment in your favor. Attraction dies when one person carries all the emotional weight, and usually it's the man. Texting first, making all the plans, fixing every conflict, holding the emotional tone. This imbalance is deadly. Why? Because when a woman doesn't invest, she doesn't attach. The rare man builds space. You text less, you wait, you pause before responding. You don't disappear, you don't play games, you simply give her the room to chase. And slowly, the pattern flips. She initiates more, she plans dates, she adjusts her schedule to see you. Why? Because investment creates attachment, not manipulation, just nature. In a relationship, you allow her to carry part of the emotional momentum. You don't orchestrate every trip, You don't micromanage the connection. You let her take ownership of keeping it alive. And when she does, she bonds deeper because she feels responsible for something precious. She doesn't want to lose what she's worked to build. Rule 7. Become the man who elevates her identity. This is the final key, because at the deepest level, a woman makes a man her priority, not just because she loves him, but because she loves who she becomes through him. Your presence doesn't just bring her comfort, it brings her elevation. You introduce her to higher standards. You challenge her to improve without ever making it about you. You expose her to a better lifestyle. You encourage her to grow in ways her old self couldn't imagine. And now, being with you isn't just about a relationship. It's about identity expansion. In a long-term bond, this deepens. You train together, read together, build together. You don't carry her. You grow in parallel. And she knows, subconsciously, that losing you wouldn't just mean heartbreak. It would mean regression. You are the mirror in which her highest self is reflected. And that mirror, that reflection, she will protect it with everything she has. Closing scene. You were never meant to beg to be someone's priority. You were meant to become the man whose presence is so valuable that prioritizing you becomes her instinct. By mastering emotional authority, by creating emotional imprints, by cultivating silent demand, by engineering micro-dependencies, by radiating sovereign independence, by shifting the investment balance, and by elevating her identity, you make yourself irreplaceable, not through manipulation, but through mastery. True masculine power is silent, strategic, unapologetic. It doesn't ask for attention, it commands it. And when you walk this path, you won't need to ask her to choose you. She will reorganize her life just to stay close. If you're ready to lead with presence, elevate with power, and become the undeniable man she prioritizes without question, my book, The Undeniable Man, is now available. No gimmicks, no manipulation, just raw psychological strategy designed for high-caliber men. Link is in the description. And if this video made something click inside you, drop a comment, even one sentence. It helps you remember it, and it might help another man step into his edge. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it. And remember, you don't chase, you build, you lead, and because of that, you are chosen.